Poster activity for EDLR 7313, Applied Multivariate Statistics. In this activity, you will have the opportunity to review a poster, learn about the content that exists within a poster, and begin drafting a poster for your dissertation research topic. Research outlets. One question many students ask during their doc program is, once they've completed their dissertation or once they have information to share about their research, what are different avenues for presenting that information? Below are 3 examples of areas that you can present your information. We have posters, presentations. We'll discuss briefly manuscripts versus articles, and we will also discuss ethical considerations. Research posters. Many conferences have research poster sections of the conference. Many times these are graduate student friendly, and they allow students the opportunity to discuss in small groups, 1 or 2 people, about their research topic, idea, and findings. Some conferences even allow research in progress, where a student can present information from their first 3 chapters prior to completing and collecting their data and analyzing it. This is a great opportunity for students to get feedback in individual sessions about their research idea, topic, and for students to have the ability to practice speaking about their research topic in a scholarly, peer-reviewed format. Presentations. Most conferences also have sessions where you can apply to be a speaker and present your research findings. Some conferences, like SERA, the Southwest Education Research Association, will group 4 or 5 papers together in an hour session and give each person approximately 10 to 15 minutes to discuss a 10-page portion of their paper. Other conferences allow for 30 minutes, an hour, or even hour and a half session to go in detail about your research topic and how it applies to your specific setting. Presentations are another great way to get your findings out and to provide information to the large population and to specialists within your field about your research findings. Manuscripts versus articles. At this point in your doctoral education, I encourage students to spend some time looking at the journals from which they are pulling their articles. For some of you, you will find that your specialty has a few journals which publish articles frequently related to your topic or your research interests. You should go to that journal's webpage, review the guidelines for authors or submission guidelines, and you should consider what are the requirements for a manuscript to be submitted to that journal. Even though you may not at this point be prepared to submit a manuscript, it is something for you to start becoming aware of as you are writing and preparing different scholarly pieces of work throughout the doctoral program. One distinction I like for my students to be aware of is that when you write and you are creating something that you are hoping will be an article, it is called a manuscript. Manuscripts are what we call works in progress that have been submitted for review to journals. When you submit a manuscript to a journal, you may not submit that manuscript to any other journals until that journal has told you their decision about whether they will publish or not the manuscript you have submitted. Once the manuscript is published, it becomes an article. So manuscript prior to publication, and article post-publication, and you may only submit a manuscript to one journal at a time. As you receive feedback from that journal, they will either accept with revisions, or deny your manuscript. In general, my rule of thumb is when I create a manuscript, I will submit it to 3 journals. The first being a top-tier, high scholarly impact journal. You can look at the impact factor to learn more about that. If it does not get accepted at that first journal, I submit it to a mid-tier journal. And if it does not get accepted in the mid-tier journal, I submit it to a lower-tier journal. If I get rejections from all 3 journals, I take the feedback I received from all 3 journals and I incorporate it into a new version of the manuscript and either resubmit to those journals if that's what they requested, or submit to different journals with the manuscript that I have. Ethical considerations for research. Just as you are not allowed to submit a manuscript to multiple journals for review, it is considered in many scholarly circles that when you present your research, you should not present the same presentation at multiple scholarly peer-reviewed conferences. My general rule of thumb is if I have a research study, I will present it as a poster so I can gain feedback during the research process and the data analysis process. I will present it as a presentation at a conference, and I will turn that research study into a manuscript. However, there are times when I've been able to use my data set and to put a new spin on the research and take a data set and present it multiple ways at multiple different conferences. Types of posters. As mentioned previously, some conferences allow research in progress. This is particularly friendly for doctoral students who are in the process of completing their dissertation, because over the couple of years that you work on your dissertation or more, it gives you an opportunity to present the research that you will be conducting or are in the progress of collecting permission or collecting data for. Completed research studies. It is important that you can also present your findings once the research is concluded and completed. You can take your findings from your dissertation and present it at a conference as well. Dissertation graduate student friendly. There are some conferences that are very friendly for graduate students. They allow students the opportunity to attend professional scholarly conferences, to add this information to your resume or CV, and they provide good feedback and support for students in process. So it's important to consider when you're presenting a poster, is the conference that you're presenting at graduate student friendly? You can ask around from your faculty members. You can also look at the conference itself and look at past year's presentations and look at the presenters and who was able to be accepted and present posters at the conference. As previously mentioned, SERA is a student-friendly conference that you can attend, but there are several other conferences that have posters within specific fields. So look for your specific field at conferences that exist and if they accept posters. Some conferences will require you to have a faculty supervisor present with you, and so it's important that you look at the requirements as well. Is it something that you can present to on your own, or is it something that requires another person to participate in, and seek that person's participation first? Also, if your faculty member or your committee have assisted you with your dissertation research, as they should, it is customarily appropriate to include them on poster presentations at conferences, and manuscripts because of the scholarly work they have done to support you as you have gone through the dissertation process. Customarily, the student is the first author because they put in the most time and work on the project. However, a way to show respect and a way to work with your faculty members is to include them on as a co-author for the poster, the presentation, and the manuscript. You'll notice on one of the posters, it was a project in progress for a doctoral student, and their faculty member, who was their advisor, was also included on that project for the conference. Some faculty members may not want to participate because it may cost them money to pay for the conference, and others might be happy to participate. So it's an individual conversation you need to have with your faculty member. Today, the poster activity that you'll be completing, the instructions are to the side. The handout is also available on Blackboard. In short, I would like for you to review the posters that are available, no more than 5 minutes apiece. Select one of the posters to look at in more detail and complete the questions below. What is the title? Does the title sufficiently help you understand the basic idea of the study? What are the different sections presented in the poster? What are the hypotheses? What information is conveyed? What results or conclusions are listed on the poster? And what is your takeaway from this activity? Here's an example of a poster, and just an overview. You'll see it has many of the same components as IMRAD. The introduction, the methods, the research, and the discussion section. They might not be called the same things, but you'll see an introduction, you'll see a study aim, you'll see a sample, you'll see the measured variables, you'll see conclusions and results, you'll see future studies and limitations, you'll see some graphics and some tables that summarize the findings. This is just one example.